Welcome to the Own It Sister podcast with the amazing life coach, Sarah Oxendine.
Aloha, everybody. How are you? This is Sarah Oxendine with the Own It Sister podcast, episode number 21. Holy smokes, everybody. How exciting and awesome is that? This is episode number 21. I just feel like I have accomplished so much. This is amazing and incredible. I really love shooting these podcasts. Today's topic is emotional adulthood. So this is something that is not taught in schools, and this is something that I've been teaching you this through all of these episodes, okay? But what emotional adulthood is, it is when you are taking responsibility for your emotions, for your emotional life. You're not putting it on anyone else, and then you're not making other people's emotions and taking that on for yourself. This work, I can't tell you, it has changed my life. Every aspect of my life is better because of this work. I am so grateful that I hired my life coach and that I learned how to be a coach and that I have been applying these tools to my personal life and then teaching them to you and teaching them to my clients. Like, I love being a life coach. And in fact, you know what's funny? Before I started life coaching, I had no desire to be a life coach. Ask me 2 years ago. No, I was not interested. No, I'd never want to be a life coach. Absolutely not. 100% no. But it's so crazy. I was in such denial. I think I just didn't understand. I don't even know how it happened. It's like I almost feel like I just fell into life coaching. But I didn't, but I did. I created my program. I've been coaching people and, promoting myself and doing this whole thing. But I did not know that life coaching was my jam until it was. And it's incredible and I love it. So emotional adulthood is really huge because we are not taught this in school, okay? We are not taught that we are not responsible for other people's emotions. We are not taught that we are responsible for ours. Other people are not responsible for our emotions. And in fact, it's ingrained from a really young age. I even think about my own parenting. So I have 5 children and my oldest is 19 and my youngest is 4. And my parenting for my children is so much different with my youngest than it was for my oldest. There's so much I just didn't know, I didn't understand, and I just did what I was taught, right? So I was taught oh, you should apologize. Oh no, you hurt her feelings. You need to say sorry. Oh, did you? And you know what? I wasn't so much, and this is interesting for me. I wasn't so much that I would ever say to my child or children, oh, did they hurt your feelings? No. I actually don't even know if I've ever said that. I must have, but that doesn't sound like normal coming out of my mouth. But I would always say that, did you hurt their feelings? Oh my goodness, you need to apologize right now. And it's just that what was taught, that's what was taught to me. And that's what I did. And when I learned this concept that no, my children are not responsible for other people's feelings. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings, and other people are not responsible for my feelings, and other children are not responsible for my children's feelings. It was like a light bulb. It's like an explosion just went off in my brain. It was like, wait. And in fact, I actually didn't even believe it. I'm like, that's not true. My husband totally hurts my feelings. It's 100% a lie. Whoever made that up, it's a crock of crap. But just stay with me. Okay, stay with me. Our thoughts hurt our feelings, not what people say or do. And I know you hear me say this every podcast pretty much, and it's because that's the truth. No one hurts your feelings. Your thoughts do. No one hurts your children's feelings. Their thoughts do. So it's really important that we correct this because what happens is we have all of these, children who were raised this way, and then we grow up and we think it's still true. So like no one reaches emotional adulthood because we're not taking responsibility for our own emotions, and we're not allowing other people to be responsible for those. Now, what I'm not meaning is this: you are responsible for your actions. So what I've done with my children in implementing this is now, instead of saying, oh my gosh, did you hurt her feelings, or did you hurt his feelings? That is not okay. You need to apologize right now. Or did they hurt your feelings? That's not okay, right? That's not what I say. Now I say, actually, let me think of an actual circumstance. Now I will say, it's like, is that the type of person you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who calls people ugly, right? Like, let's say my kid said to another kid or to each other, oh my gosh, this is definitely within each other. So if one of my daughters tells my other daughter, you're ugly. Now, what I would say is, hey, she would not say anything about she hurt your feelings. I would say, hey, do you want to be the type of person who calls other people ugly? Is that how you want to show up in the world? Right? I'm saying exactly what they did and asking them if that's the type of person they want to be. I'm not making them responsible for someone else's feelings. So, and I teach them that if you call someone ugly, do you think they're going to want to hang out with a person who calls them ugly? No, they're not going to want to. So I'm teaching them that their actions have consequences. I'm not teaching them that their actions hurt people or can hurt people or not hurt people. But, if someone's calling me ugly all the time, I'm just not like, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you want to hang out? Let's hang out. No, it's like they need to know, yeah, when you do things like that, people might not want to hang out with you. People might not like you. Is that the type of person you want to be? And if someone does something to them, it's not they hurt your feelings. It's you don't like what they said. You don't like what they did. That makes you feel angry. No. I'm sorry. I just messed that up there. You don't like what they did. You don't like what they said. Then you have a thought that makes you feel angry. It's okay. You might want to, right? Like they might want to feel angry if someone calls them ugly. They might want to have a thought that says, yeah, that's not okay. I don't want to hang out with people that call me ugly. Now, here's another option. If someone calls you ugly, you could just have a thought like, that's not true. I'm obviously not ugly. You could just think that. You don't have to think that because they called you ugly means you're ugly. What? So, some ways in my personal life how I have been a serious emotional child and not an emotional adult before I had been implementing and even knew about all of these different tools and skills was for sure in my marriage. I totally made my husband responsible for me feeling happy or sad or, and I mean, I'm telling you, I really believed it from the depths of my soul. I'm like, no. My husband can literally totally hurt my feelings. He can totally ruin my day. He can make my day amazing. He can make me feel loved. He can make me feel happy. My husband can't do any of that, though he would like to think so, but he actually can't. I have thoughts that make me feel happy, sad, all of them, loved. It's because of my thoughts. So let me give you an example. Have you ever felt a lot of love for someone? And even let's just say with your husband, has there ever been a moment where you just loved him so much, but he was, in the middle of working and was not really thinking about you at all? Not that he doesn't totally love you, but just in that moment, he wasn't in this like, oh, I love you so much like you were, because you were having all of these loving thoughts. He was like working. So you're feeling love for him, not because of anything that he's doing. So when you're an emotional adult, you are taking responsibility for why you feel, for your emotions, but you're also taking responsibility for your actions. And in fact, when you're behaving as an emotional adult, you want to be nice. You want to be kind. You don't want to yell and scream and be mean to people, because that is not being an emotional adult. That's being an emotional child. Emotional childhood looks like, a toddler at the at the aisle checking out, how they always put the candy right there. So annoying. And then your kid's like, I want candy. Ah, mommy, mommy, mommy. And you're like, no, 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 we're not having candy right now. At least that was me. I was like, no, no, no. We do not get candy right here like this out of pressure because it's here. No. And then they're throwing this hissy fit because they can't have it. So whenever you're throwing tantrums, you are in emotional childhood. You're being an emotional adult when you are allowing someone else to feel and not holding that yourself. And in fact, I had this experience where I had someone say something to me, and it was... I would have been very justified to snap and be like, that is unacceptable and that's not okay. But instead, I didn't want to feel angry because I really loved this person. I didn't want to feel angry. I didn't want my feelings to be hurt. I wanted to try to understand where she was coming from. So instead, and actually it's not true. Like when you're doing the whole emotional adulthood, it doesn't mean you don't ever feel angry and frustrated. It means when you do, you don't act on it. Right? So I didn't say something rude back. I just smiled and said, oh, thank you for, thanks for your opinion. Something like that. And then I went home and then I cried. And then I called my husband and I was very frustrated. But the whole time in my brain, I remember, it was 2 years ago. I remember feeling like I was watching my brain work. I was going from, I can't believe she said that. How dare she? Why would someone say this? To, she's a mother. She's defending her daughter. She loves her daughter. She doesn't realize the way she's saying this. She doesn't realize what she's doing. She's just trying to protect her child. And so I was able to talk myself down and really allow myself to go from emotional childhood and spiraling into this place of emotional adulthood, to where literally it was only a few hours, but the next morning I was totally fine. I had only love for this person and there was no hard feelings at all. And it was such a choice. I was so justified to stay on my spiral. And I didn't want to. I wanted to just love, even though, that was one of the harder things, actually, that whole experience. Anyways, and then there's been other times where I know with other people that I love, where they have felt very uncomfortable maybe about a situation that I feel totally comfortable with, and I didn't see a problem at all, and I just allow them to be uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay that, you're not okay with this person being here, but I like this person. I love this person. And if you want to be here too, totally fine, but I'm not going to ask this person to leave so that you feel comfortable. So we can just all be here and we can just figure this out. And so I just love this because it's my whole life, you guys, I'm people pleased. I just wanted everybody to be happy. And when I was able to really sit into, it's not possible. Everyone's not going to be happy. And I'm responsible for my happiness, and no one else is responsible for mine. And so if I can just work on figuring out how to be happy for myself, then I'm going to be able to show up in a much cleaner headspace for myself, that it really does impact everyone around me. It really does impact everyone around me just because of the work I've been doing. I know you can have the same effect on your life also as you show up and do the work for you. But you have to first choose, no, I want to be an emotional adult. I want to take responsibility for all of my emotions. And that means your child can't hurt your feelings. That means you can't hurt your child's feelings. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't try to be kind and you don't choose to be kind and loving in the way that you use your verbiage, because being an emotional adult, that's what you do. You choose to be kind and loving because that is who you want to be. Not because you feel like if you don't act kind and loving, you're not going to get what you want. Do you see how there's a difference there? Right? So if I'm doing something and behaving in a way because I want someone else to behave in a certain way, I'm trying to control the other person by the way I'm acting, that is not emotional adulthood. That's emotional childhood. Emotional adulthood would be, I'm already clear at who I want to be in this situation, and I'm going to allow what they choose to do to be theirs, and I'm going to hold my space separate. I'm going to hold space for them to be who they are, and I'm going to show up as what's integrity for myself. And that does not look like yelling and screaming and telling someone, oh, Dad, no. That's not what it looks like. And you might be like, well, what do you mean? If I'm the only one in charge of my feelings and they're in charge of their feelings, I could say what I want. You don't do that. That isn't what it will look like when you're showing up as an emotional adult. That just doesn't happen that way. What happens is you are kind and considerate about what you say or don't say. Is it your true to your integrity on what you do or you don't say and how you act or you don't act. And it is not determined by what anyone else around you thinks or says or wants from you. Now, so let's say like in my marriage, right? Did I say this earlier? If I want my husband to come to bed with me, right? And I'm like, hey, love, like, I'd really love it if you come to bed with me. And he's like, listen, I don't want to go to bed at 9:00. So I'm going to stay up and I totally love you. It's all going to be fine. Now, if I decide to make it mean that he doesn't come to bed with me, that he doesn't love me, that's me being an emotional adult. No, that's me being an emotional child, because I know he loves me. He just doesn't want to come to bed with me. I don't need him to prove anything to me for me to feel good or for me to be an emotional adult. That is emotional childhood. Now, what is an emotional adult is when I'm like, hey, love, I have this request. I would really love it if you come to bed with me. And he's like, listen, I just really don't want to go to bed at 9. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay up. Okay. I love you. Or maybe he doesn't even say I love you, whatever. If he says that to me, now being an emotional adult is saying, okay, yeah, totally love you. I don't make it mean anything. And I just go to bed and I'm fine. Guys, this is a real one for me. It's so funny that is a struggle. Like I have to he loves me. This is okay. And it's the only reason it's a problem for me, you guys, is because in my brain, I have this thought, like my brain wants to tell me couples that really love each other go to bed together. They cuddle, they love on each other, and they fall asleep together. Okay, that's just a thought in my head, and I make it up, and I tell myself the story, and then I work myself up, and then I freak out. It's ridiculous. So I have to manage that. That's why I do 5 models every single day, because I got to manage my brain. And the difference in practicing and being an emotional adult and managing my brain and not, it's like 2 different lives. I'm not kidding. Like the amount of productivity I'm able to accomplish when I'm managing my mind or not, it's like 10-fold. The tantrums that I throw, it's like I don't throw them. The patience that I have for my children, if they act a certain way, I don't get all defensive. I allow them to behave the way they're behaving without making it mean something. I'm a bad mom. So let's just say, so in our house, we do scriptures and prayers every evening. Well, most evenings I try. And I have a son. He's 17. And actually, even my daughter, my 19-year-old, they like to say things to throw us off track or maybe even to bother me during scriptures, right? I'm like, okay, guys, and we're reading. And then they'll maybe be like, say some, thing that they think is very humorous. And if I'm not managing my mind, I will bite that hook and it will end up not good. Now, if I'm been doing my models and I'm practicing emotional adulthood, what will happen is they will throw that out and I will not take that on. I will not. And it doesn't mean that there won't be, like it doesn't mean that you don't have consequences for things, but what it means is that how you show up, when you show up, feels so much better for you because you're not just like flipping out, which I maybe have been known to flip out in my life. But instead it's like, oh, hey, listen, that's not the topic we're talking about right now. So we're just going to get back to scriptures. Thank you. That's it. What? Doesn't have to be like, okay, that's really inappropriate. You shouldn't say that, blah, blah, blah. I could just be like, listen, we're not talking about that right now. Or it could be like, okay, you start doing a set, right? Or get in plank position until the next verse is done. Like I can just dissolve it. I don't have to engage. Some examples of models of emotional childhood would be something like circumstance. She hit me. Thought she shouldn't hit me. Feeling angry, action, hit back, result, fighting. Okay. Or it could be she hit me, thought, maybe I was thinking of my kids for some reason, but let's use a different example. I didn't write any down, so I apologize. Like I'm telling, anytime you find yourself whining and crying and throwing a hissy fit, that is emotional adulthood. Anytime you find yourself gossiping, complaining, complaining. If you are complaining, emotional childhood, you're in it right there. So my advice to you is to investigate. Where is it that you are handing your emotional adulthood to someone else? Where is it that you are assigning someone else responsible for your happiness? This is a terrible idea because they're having a hard enough time making themselves happy, let alone trying to make you happy. So you worry about making yourself happy, let them worry about making them happy. And it doesn't mean you can't make requests, right? Like I can have requests, and sometimes my husband or those that I have relationships, maybe they'll meet them and maybe they won't. And either way, I don't make it mean anything bad about them or about me. So maybe like, hey love, I'd like to go on a date once a week. And he's like, yeah, totally. Let's do it. Awesome. Hey love, or maybe he has a request that he would like me to rub his back. Sure, I'll rub your back. And sometimes I'm like, listen, I just can't right now. But most of the time I do say yes. So, but do you see how it's different if you make a request and then someone said, whether they say yes or no, you are able to detach yourself from that. You're able to allow them to say yes or no without you making it mean that they love you or they don't love you. They like you or they don't like you. You don't add that pressure on there. I mean, that's not good for the other person, and that's just not good for you. It's not useful, and it's very childish. So, and own your actions. This, when you learn emotional adulthood and you start practicing this in your life, it doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. It's not like it doesn't mean you're never going to act like an emotional child ever again. You will. I do sometimes. But at least I can own it. At least I can say, oh, yep, emotional child. That was a hissy fit right there. Totally. I'm sorry. I can recognize that. I don't continue down that path of blame. But it's your fault that I did it. You said this. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I lied to you and I shouldn't have, and I apologize. This is the truth. I yelled at you. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to do better not to do it again. Yes, I interrupted you. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best not to do it again. Right? Whatever the things are that you are doing, your actions, own your actions. And what you're going to find is you're probably going to apologize more. And there's nothing wrong with that because you are just living a life where you're owning what you're doing. You're not needing to blame someone else for how you feel. You're able to be like, oh yeah, like, yes, they called me ugly, but I'm not really ugly. And yes, that them saying that did not hurt my feelings, my thought about it. When I thought, oh my gosh, does she think I'm ugly? That's what made me feel terrible, not because she said it. Okay. And So here's the other thing, right? So it also doesn't mean that you don't hold them accountable for what they said. So let's say they call me ugly, right? I'm like, listen, that's not acceptable. Don't talk to me like that. Done. But it doesn't make, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm ugly. She thinks I'm ugly and everyone thinks I'm ugly. I'm so ugly. It's like, no, like, I'm not ugly. You said I'm ugly. Don't talk to me like that. Thanks. Or that was rude. Did you know you said that out loud? Like, so you can say something back. So practice emotional adulthood. It's amazing. It's so much more fun when you're in control of you. It's so much more fun when you don't allow someone else to be in charge of your emotions. You don't assign someone else to be in charge of your emotions, like in your happiness and your feelings. It's so much better. And it's so much better to not hold the burden of carrying everyone else's emotions on your shoulders. You show up the best that you can and allow other people to show up however they want. Allow them to be wrong about you. Allow them to be angry with you. Just have compassion for them. Have understanding for why they're behaving or thinking or feeling that way. Don't make it mean that something's wrong with you. And when you've done something that you need to apologize. Own it, sister. Have an amazing day. Today, the essential oil that we're going to talk, the emotion is balanced. So to help you to promote more feelings of balance, of feeling balanced, the essential oils that you can use: petitgrain, patchouli, aroma touch, DDR prime, holiday joy, hinoki, anchor, and amavi. Again, you're going to put these oils on your wrists. You can put it underneath your earlobes, on your third eye. You can put it on your chest or over your heart. You can put it over your, you could put it around your ankles or on the bottom of your feet. I really love balance on the bottom of my feet. I also love it in the diffuser. So they have an actual essential oil called Balance, and that isn't on here for feeling balanced, which is interesting. But I love to, actually none of those oils are here, so I'm not even going to say it. Petitgrain, I put petitgrain on my solar plex for about 2 years. It was very helpful. And I took patchouli and I put it around my ankles, and that was very helpful. So you can put it around your ankles, and you can also put it right on the bottom of your feet. Aroma touch. I actually love to massage my feet and my ankles with aroma touch. DDR prime is amazing. I use that often, and anchor is really good too. But all of them are holiday joy. I love to diffuse. Now, when you're using these oils, I want you to say to yourself, am I possessing an emotional or triggering experience? Oh my gosh, sorry you guys, I'm not wearing my glasses. It is processing. Am I processing an emotional or triggering experience? Am I listening to my inner voice and living consistently with what serves me best? I am now allowed to listen to and follow my inner voice. This guides me to what is right for me. Imagine identifying and sending gratitude to your inner voice. See light and love steady and comfort your mind, heart, and body. Here's what I want to tell you. Oftentimes, it may feel like if you're taking care of your needs that someone else is missing out. But here's what I want to tell you. If you aren't listening and showing up in the way that feels aligned and right for you with your integrity, you're going to build resentment. You're going to build resentment for other people because you're going to feel responsible for their emotions and why are you responsible for everything? And you're going to like, why can't they do it better? It's just such a mess. Let go of all the emotional childhood and open up to emotional adulthood. It is game changing. All right. I have a life coaching program called Own It, Sister. I work with recently divorced women, and we work to really create an amazing relationship with you. Yourself. It's the most important relationship that you will ever have. Coming in tune and in touch with your needs, your desires, your wants, your deepest wishes and hopes and dreams. And we take all of your past and those pieces that you feel like are broken, and we do not put them back together. Instead, we build a masterpiece, something new, something fresh. And it's all directed by you and guided by me. So if you're interested in working with me, I have a program that'll begin in October. So get in touch with me and let's see if we're a good fit. You're going to call the number in the comments below, or the post, or the whatever description below. And there's a phone number. When you call it, it's going to ask you to leave your name. And then it's going to ring me. When it rings me, I will answer if I can. If I don't have cell service for whatever reason, leave me a message. I will call you back. And then we'll see if we're a good fit. Have an amazing day. Own it, sister. You are good enough. You are enough right now, just as you are. Learning the skill of emotional adulthood is going to be one of the best things you've ever done. Have an amazing day and own it, sister.